All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report Alert for August 18th, 2025. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. If you're considering going into an IRA with gold and silver, this is a highly rated company that we are sponsored by and work with. We'd love you to consider them. There's a link in the description if you'd like to check it out. All right, a lot of going on with the Zelensky meeting in Europe, among some other things, interesting things. Times Square was made vacant because of a package. We'll take you all through that. South Korean and U.S. militaries start annual Uchi Freedom Shield 11-day drills involving 21,000 soldiers with focus on upgraded responses to North Korea's nuclear threat. Israeli government cybersecurity official Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, who was arrested in Nevada during a police sting, child predator ring, has been released on $10,000 bail and returned to Israel. Slap in the wrist. UK's first trans judge lodged an appeal with ECHR against the Supreme Court ruling on gender. MacLeod is represented by UK's first openly non-binary barrister and UK's first black trans lawyer. Okay. Australia's largest airline, Qantas, is going to pay a record fine of 90 million Aussies, loonies, whatever, Australian dollars, or 58.64 million American, for illegally sacking 1,800 ground crew after the Rona, during the Rona. So, Trump signs an executive order eliminating mail-in ballots and voting machines before the 2026 midterm elections, saying that, quote, the mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines must end now, end quote. Trump says the sooner Hamas is confronted and destroyed, the better. Norway's crown prince's son, who's charged with 32 counts, including 4 sexual assaults. MSNBC is now going to be MS Now, according to sources, which is going to stand for My Source, News, Opinion, and World, basically because they're probably hemorrhaging money against the NBC brand. Trump admin has revoked over 6,000 student visas in 2025 for overstays, illegal activities, and in particular, support for terrorism. Vienna Court has ruled that Islamic law, known as Sharia, is now also valid in Austria under certain conditions. Top Iranian military advisor warns Ayatollah Khamenei that Israel-Iran war could resume at any point. Quote, we are not in a ceasefire, we're in a stage of war. I think another war may happen, and after that, there may be no more wars, end quote. Trump says, I don't think you need a ceasefire. I think we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. Trump says, if we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues, and Putin's expecting my call when we're finished with the meeting. Former Attorney General Bill Barr arrived to appear before House investigators as part of the GOP's probe into the Epstein files. President Trump said Ukrainian leader Zelensky could choose to end the war with Russia almost immediately, but retaking Russian-occupied Crimea or joining NATO are off the table. Germany's foreign minister hit out Monday at what he called China's repeated threats to unilaterally change borders in the Asia-Pacific region, calling Beijing increasingly aggressive. Greta Thunberg and other activists have blocked Norway oil refinery. China says it is prepared for great effort towards peaceful reunification with Taiwan, according to Reuters. Hamas agrees to a new Gaza ceasefire proposal, according to Hamas sources. Indonesia's Luatobi Laki-Laki volcano has erupted. Times Square evacuated as police launched an investigation amid reports of a suspicious package. Zelensky says he's open to holding elections after peace, but he can't hold them during the war. Trump says, I love the Ukrainian people, but I love all people. I love the Russian people. I love them all. I want to get the war stopped. RFK Jr. and Department of Defense visited the Department of Defense and challenged Secretary Pete Hegseth to a pull-up and push-up competition dubbed the Pete and Bobby Challenge, as the Trump administration leaders are encouraging Americans to drop fat for fit. President Trump on the media says, quote, "The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. In solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. I solved major wars. I solved wars that have been going on for 30 plus years. You don't got anybody down there to solve a war like me." U.S. neoconservative politician Nikki Haley says that U.S. should not send troops or cash to Ukraine anymore. Far-right candidate Jose Antonio Cast has launched his candidacy for president of Chile. Election will take place in November. Opinion polls have JAK as the favorite to become the right-wing candidate in the runoff via the Pinochetist Republican Party of Chile after the Bolivian presidency and the right-winger Quiroga. There's a lot of changes going down in Latin America, led by the Javier Milei presidency in Argentina. Network data shows a significant disruption to the Starlink satellite internet service, with overall connectivity at 32% of ordinary levels. Corroborating user reports of an outage incident is the second observed in the last month. Starlink is down. President Trump, Zelensky, and European leaders participated in a family photo at Cross Hall. Trump said it was a very successful day so far, and Steve Witkoff is coordinating with Israeli officials after a ceasefire proposal has been agreed by Hamas. These are your normie news headlines. Wall Street dips as markets brace for retailer earnings in Jackson Hole. U.S. markets slipped ahead of key retail earnings in the Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole Symposium. Hamas backs ceasefire proposal involving hostage and prisoner releases. Hamas has approved of ceasefire deal, including freeing half the hostages and Israeli release of certain Palestinian prisoners. Ukraine expects U.S. investment delegation in September. Kiev anticipates an American investment fund delegation to visit next month, signaling growing economic ties. European and U.S. stocks steady ahead of Ukraine talks and Fed event. Dragon Wall Street and European markets remained stable as investors look ahead to Ukraine diplomacy and central bank guidance. Oil edges higher on Trump-Zelensky meeting hopes. They rose slightly. Markets awaited a high-impact meeting between Trump and Zelensky. Hurricane Aaron intensified to a Category 4, triggering evacuations. Aaron has strengthened into a dangerous Category 4 storm, prompting emergency evacuations and preparations. Gold prices remained steady amid geopolitical uncertainty. It held its value as traders weighed the Ukraine meeting and the outcome of the upcoming Fed remarks at Jackson Hole. Reports suggest the U.S. government is negotiating for a 10% equity stake in Intel via CHIPS Act grant conversion, as the Trump administration is exploring that 10% stake. China seeks peaceful path to reunification with Taiwan. They reaffirmed its readiness to peaceful reunification, aligning with diplomatic tones following Trump's remarks. And Crown Heights nightclub shooting has killed 3 and injured 10. Mass shooting at a nightclub left 3 dead and 10 wounded. The incident is believed to have been gang-related with motives. Friends, that is your crisis report alert for August 18th, 2025. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. We appreciate you being here. Please consider us on all the other sites like Truth, Gab, Minds, Twitter X, subscribe to on Locals, which is a couple bucks a month, and then Substack, which you can get for free or a couple bucks a month if you like what we're doing. We appreciate you being here, and we will see you on the next one.